Hey guys, happy Father's Day. Let's go ahead and make a tumbler for our dads and granddads. First things first, you want to get your 20-ounce hog, and I'm using the 20-ounce curved tumbler, and you're going to spray paint it with white spray paint after you have already sanded and cleaned and prepped your cup. Now that your spray paint has dried, you want to get your alcohol ink, and I'm using Butterscotch by Tim Holtz, and you are going to also use one of those magic eraser sponges, so not a makeup sponge, but just cut up a magic eraser. You can get a generic one from Dollar Tree. Cut it up into little squares and just dab a little bit on the corner and apply it to the tumbler in a popping fashion. Now, a lot of people also like to just smooth it on there, but I like to do this effect because I feel like it looks like the carbonation bubbles in the beer when it's in a pint cup. Alright, so you're just going to continue dabbing the alcohol ink all around until you get to the height that you want it to be, and it's all optional however you want to do it. I left that much white space, but you can do more, you can do less. Also, the cup turner that I'm using is the Cuposaurus hand turner that you will find on the Cuposaurus 2 Etsy shop, but I will link the Cuposaurus website below in the description. After your alcohol ink is dry, which will be very quickly because it dries very fast, you're going to go ahead and get your white acrylic paint, and it could be any white. I just am using this matte white that I have on hand, but you can use a glossy or a matte. It doesn't matter because once you put epoxy over it, it's going to shine. And so I'm going to first start by putting it in this cup and diluting it with just a little bit of water, so that I can make a white but transparent bottom. And I think when I do that, it gives it a little bit more texture. So first I start with the diluted white paint, And then I will go back over it with the concentrated white paint, and it'll give it a little bit of depth. Okay, so here I'm just going to dab it with my fingers, and that will also give it a little bit of depth and a little bit of texture, and it will look more like foam, like the beer foam on the pint cup. Now you can kind of get creative. Here is an area that I am making it look like the foam is spilling all the way down the cup, you know, as if it has spilled over like it would if it was real beer. Of course, you can do it any way you want. You don't have to do this. It's completely optional, but kind of make it fun and make it your own. I need you more. Just to make sure that I keep the texture of the Beer foam like I did with my hand. I'm going to go ahead and dry it with the heat gun. Now, I'm not drying it to make it go faster here, but what I am doing is making sure that I set those texture marks that I made with my finger. So as you can see here, if you look really close, you can see the texture, the little raised areas. I want to keep those. So that's why I'm using the heat gun to dry it, but I'm going to let this dry for about 12 hours before I apply my first coat of epoxy. And also before it dries, when it dries, I'm going to apply a clear sealer. I think I put triple thick. I'm going to show it in a few seconds, but I'm going to seal it with that really good so that the alcohol ink doesn't run into the white too much. Alright, now that everything has dried, I'm going to go ahead and apply my first coat of epoxy. And in this part, I'm using aluminite epoxy, and it's about 10 ml, so 5 ml of each part A and B. And then it'll spin for about 8 hours. And while that's working, I'm going to go ahead and work on my decal. So I went on Etsy and found a file for the Coors Light brand. Is their logo. And I went ahead and separated the logo, and you can see those little triangles on this, or the diamonds on the side. I did that so that when I put my decals together, I have a way to match them all up. And I may do a video on that technique, but there's tons of videos that show you how to layer your final decals, so you could check those out in the meantime. But maybe a little later one day I'll make a video showing how exactly I do registration marks to layer my decals, in case someone doesn't know how to do that. But here we are weeding the decals that I have already cut with my Cricut machine, and just getting all the little pieces off. And now it's time to layer, starting with my top layer and looking at my registration marks, which is a diamond, and putting them together on my middle layer, and then finally the last layer. And before I apply my decal to my tumbler, I'm just going to get some alcohol and just clean off any dust or any debris that might be on there. And now I'm going to apply my decal, starting with the middle and smoothing my way down. And don't be afraid to manipulate it and pick it up and move it again until you can try to get all the creases and bubbles out. And it's just trial and error, and it takes a lot of practice. I can never say that I have it down perfect, but just practice makes perfect. Just continue working on it, And the more that you do, the better you'll get applying your decals. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video. And when you hit subscribe, just hit my picture right there to the left. Thanks again, guys. Bye.